Hi, it's Jane. It's Monday afternoon and I'm filming this, and I thought I would kind of go over a couple of things as well as just sit and crochet for a little bit. I know a lot of you have been following the true crime stuff that's going on with this little baby in California. And apparently, yesterday afternoon, they had the father out by roadside of an area where he claimed the baby was. They had cadaver dogs out there and him, and they were doing a search in this field, which yielded nothing. Um, so I don't know if this guy is shining things on, or maybe he doesn't remember where they dumped the baby. Who knows? But that's kind of sad, you know, unless he's trying to paint a picture that maybe Rebecca dumped the baby there and that's where she told him it was. Who knows what's really going on in the background? But it's just sad that parents would do this to their own child. I mean, this man has an issue, a big issue. So, that's going on. I'm hearing a lot of truckers coming forward about some of the things that have to do with CDL licenses and different companies, and the way that a lot of these companies that are big companies hire, and they put 2 to 4 people in a truck so they can run the truck constantly so that they can get their payload to the places where they've contracted to be much earlier, and then pick up a payload and move it across country quicker than a single driver could do in a truck. And a couple of them are coming forward saying, well, when they got their CDL licenses, you had to be a U.S. resident. They're just outlining all kinds of things, red flags that they are seeing, and how, these guys are able to make thousands of dollars each week driving because they do teamwork type things so that they can drive constantly. Which, that kind of makes sense. But it's not fair to the rest of the drivers who are just trying to make a living doing that kind of thing. I'm sorry, truck driving is a specialized field. You should be fully aware that most people out there are qualified to be driving. And we should appreciate those truckers that are out there hauling our goods around, getting them to us. So, that's all I'm going to say on that. The other thing that I thought I would go over is a lot of folks, and this isn't just for those of you who buy products from me, but it is for those who are considering selling and using Etsy as a platform. For the longest time, you've not been able to opt out of Etsy ads, and I'm kind of going to discuss a purchase that was made through one of the Etsy ads, okay? And it's going to involve the fees that are taken out from Etsy. Now, when I make things, I'm hoping to get at least anywhere from $5 to $10 profit off of it. I'm lucky if I get $5 profit off a lot of these things, to be honest. When you consider your time, the materials, all those kind of things, the competition, it's difficult to make a living off of that. And mine is not a living, it's a side hustle to help pay the extra bills. When the electric bill's high, that kind of thing. So anyway, I had someone who purchased 2 bowl cozies. Now the 2 bowl cozies, total price for that came to $38.93. Keep that in mind, $38.93. Out of that, they took a processing fee, which was 3% plus 25 cents of $1.42. They took out the tax, which was $2.91. And supposedly they paid that to the tax authorities. Do I have any proof of that? Not really. Then they, for the second bowl, these are each bowl. For the first bowl, they took out 6.5% of the item total, which was $1.04. And then for the second bowl, they took out 6.5% of the total item, which was 98 cents. Then there was a transaction fee for shipping, which is 6.5% of the shipping total, 33 cents. This is what irritates me the most, because I have tried to get off their ad campaign, but so far they're not releasing me. Fee for sale made through offsite ads, 15% of the order total, $5.40. Then they also charged me for the shipping label, which was $5.02. So they are saying that my total amount from this, my current balance is $25.05, but it's not, because my total balance is $20.40. So I don't know what the other amount is that they've taken out. Cannot find that anywhere whatsoever to give me any clue. So those are some of the things that I see with Etsy. So those of you that are considering selling on Etsy, please be aware of the amount of fees that they take out. And I'm sorry, the amount that they charge is absolutely ridiculous. You would think out of $38 and what was it, 93 cents or something like that. Yeah, $38.93, that I would make at least $29, you know? But here's the thing, for those $20, for that $20, those bowls cost me a total of $8 to make for 2 bowls. Each bowl, $8. So I made a $4 profit off of 2 bowls. Can you see where some of the issue is for a lot of Etsy sellers and why they're looking for other avenues? And I'm serious. I am really thinking about opening up a TikTok shop and some other revenues, because this is just ridiculous. And there is a reason that a lot of people nicknamed it Eats Me. And that's one of those reasons. All right, I thought I would crochet a little bit while we just chit-chat. And I'm still working on the blanket. Where's my hook? I have no clue where my hook is. There you are. It's hiding in there. Should have put a stitch marker in it, but I don't have one by me. Ronan, I have a chair that sits right here, off to this side here. Ronan is sitting on top of the chair staring at me. He's quite upset with me. His little shaky mouse, he put it behind me while I was doing some cooking this morning. And I didn't realize it was behind me, and I stepped on it. If you know anything about those little shaky mice, they're basically plastic with a couple of beads on the inside and then covered in fur or fake fur. So yeah, I stepped on his mouse and then flattened it. And I haven't gotten him a new mouse yet. So he's pretty upset with me right now. You know, he's giving me the glare like, you killed it. You killed the mouse. It's your fault. He's dead. So, crazy animals. Crazy animals. I've already been outside this morning cutting bamboo, and that was a lot of fun. And yes, the result is I do have a lot more runners now because of the way that this fellow cut it. I have had someone ask me in the past, why I just don't let the bamboo grow up big enough and then spray it. Because where I live, there is a fellow that lives up the road that whines and complains if it's not cut back all the time. It doesn't matter to him that there is a correct way to remove it to kill it permanently. So I just do the best I can and deal with it, deal with him and his complaining and his whining. The rest of the neighbors, they understand completely. The guy across the street, we've talked several times, and he's like, when it comes to that, there is no way to control it very easily. It takes a lot of work. He said it took him 8 years to get rid of what was around his front yard and around his just close area. He said, but you'll notice behind me, and over here off to the sides and across the road and everywhere, it just grows like crazy. There's nothing that you can do about it, really, unless you're constantly working at it, spraying it. And he said, truly, the only way to do that is to spray it with the glyphosate Roundup at a high strength a couple times a year. So, he understands completely what I'm going through. He has offered to come over and help me spray. Does have a spray bottle, spray can. So we've talked about that, planning on when to spray once. And the problem is I can't let it bloom, which is really the best time to spray is when it blooms, before the first frost. So, and that's because of the other neighbor up the road that won't let it grow tall enough for it to bloom so I can actually spray up, under, top, and at the stem to actually kill the dang thing. So, neighbors. Isn't it lovely having neighbors like that? Not at all. Last night after the concert, I went out with a couple of folks. There was a young man that every year going to these concerts was being picked up and taken to the concert. Well, I had noticed last year that he wasn't going to the concerts, and this is towards the end of the concerts. And, and I asked him why he wasn't, and he was telling me the gal that used to pick him up no longer picks him up. I'm like, oh, okay. Well, Lord put it on my heart to offer to give him a ride. Well, that has become a semi-permanent thing. This young man is disabled. From what I understand, like I said, I don't know what range of the spectrum he is. I don't know if it's Asperger's, autism, or whatever it is, but it's one of those. I was trying to find out that if he had a caretaker. I do know that he has an aunt in the area, but the aunt has very little to do with him. So I was trying to find out if maybe he had a caseworker that I could talk with. Because he's made some statements that are just odd to me. So I don't, I don't quite get that. But I do know that this gentleman had lived with his father, and his father actually had a heart attack, passed away, and he found his father. But, so in talking with him, did find out he does not have a caseworker. He handles things on his own. So apparently they feel that he's competent enough to do that kind of thing. But he was telling me this weekend that he has to move over to a different apartment. And I said, okay, why is that? He said, because of all the damage done to this apartment. And apparently it's because the upstairs apartment, either the air conditioner is leaking or there's some kind of water leak and they can't pinpoint it, and it's causing damage in his apartment. So, and like he said, he's done everything he can to keep it from worsening, that kind of thing. And he's got this ongoing feud with the property management person. She hates him, he hates her, you know. And of course, he's probably about 25, I think. So as we're talking, you know, this through and all this kind of stuff, he said to me, well, she made me get rid of all my canned food. And I said, what? He said, yeah, she made me get rid of all my canned food. She didn't like it piled up around. I'm like, well, how much canned food do you have? He said, well, I had some, and I had some of it stacked in boxes because the cabinets are so small, there was not enough room to put them in there. He said, generally, that's what I eat off for the month. Like, oh, okay. I mean, I have no idea, you know, that kind of thing. So I said to him, well, when you got rid of your canned foods, what did you do with it? He goes, oh, I threw it out. I said, you didn't offer it to neighbors? I said, there's a food pantry, you know, that's a couple of blocks from you that you could have used your wagon to take over and donate to people who need food. He said, well, I wasn't going to carry it that far. And I said to him, you also could have called me and I'd have helped you. And so, I don't know. But anyway, we went for ice cream with a couple of other people. So on the way back, it's lightning. And he's totally freaking out, you know, about the lightning. I don't like it. I don't like it. I said, well, did you have some kind of bad experience with lightning? You know, is there a reason you don't like the lightning? I said, I look at it like this. I think it's beautiful the way it crosses the sky, the way it hits the ground, but I understand why a lot of people don't like it. Usually because it's followed by thunder or thunder hits first or whatever. And a lot of people are scared of the noise. I said, no, I just don't like lightning. Okay, fine. But anyway, through that, I did discover that this apartment that he's moving to is a one-bedroom apartment. He's upset because he has to go up 3 flights of stairs. He now goes up 2. I said, well, it'll be healthier for you to go up that extra flight. It's okay, you can rest in between flights. He's not that big, he's young. He can handle it. Plus, he rides a bike all over town. Walks and rides a bike all over town. So he should be able to handle 1 more flight of stairs. But then I got to ask, because he was telling me, he said, yeah, I'm not sure how I'm going to get all the move thing done. One of the guys at the church did offer to help. And I said, generally when they offer to help you with them and a couple of guys, you know, they usually bring trucks or trailers, that kind of thing, to help you move. So I asked him, do you have a lot of furniture that you have to move? No, I just have my dresser and my bed and a bunch of boxes and bags. I'm like, did you not? Your father, didn't he have a recliner? Because he's shared some pictures of his father with me. His father had a recliner, there was a couch, there was all kinds of things. He said, no, I sold those. Oh, okay. So he just has a bed and a dresser in his apartment and boxes. I said, well, they should be able to get you moved pretty quickly then. I said, well, have you ever thought about asking maybe your neighbors if they could help you? No, not asking them. He said, I don't like having to make new friends out of neighbors. I said to him, you're the guy that knows everybody at church. You know their name. You say hello to them. You shake all the guys' hands or fist bump them or high five them or whatever. And you do talk to quite a few of the women, getting to know them and helping, that kind of thing. But you don't want to have to get to know a new neighbor. I said, Barry, come on, you can do this. You can handle this. So, anyway, that was the escapades of the weekend. And we did have a good time. We went and we got ice cream. It's a local place that makes their own ice cream. And I was a little upset because I couldn't get my butter pecan, which would have been my favorite. So the waitress, when she takes your order, she asks you for your flavor choice and a backup just in case they don't have it. Because she has to go next door to get the ice cream to bring it out to you. So it was okay, no butter pecan. Got some mint chip, it was okay. It was pretty good though, I will say that. But it was just a nice time talking with some other people that I just know by name and saying hi to them at the concert, but getting to know them a little bit better. That's always a lot of fun. So I did enjoy that part of it. Did find out there's one woman there that sometimes she comes with them for ice cream, sometimes she doesn't. This time she didn't want to come. She wanted to go home because she had company. And so we were talking and, just chat. I was chit-chatting with her. And my first thought is there's something that's a little off on her, but I'm not sure what it is. And we kind of talked about, we're both widows and that kind of thing before we left to go get ice cream. She has the beginnings of Alzheimer's, and there is no company that's coming, but in her mind, she has company coming. So the one gal did take her home, and this one gal does pick her up and take her home each time. Normally they go for ice cream, and then she takes her home. So that was just a little bit on the interesting side, But my spidey senses told me there was something not quite right with the woman. So I'm glad the spidey senses are still working, I guess. But these concerts are always great. Very uplifting, Great time to be with people and talk with people that you know, that kind of thing. The group that came last night was New Journey. And normally we have seen them. It's two sisters and the daughter that are part of this group. And they're out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And normally it was just the three girls we've always seen. The daughter just recently, about 2.5 years ago, got married. She does have a baby, so the baby was there as well. So we got to meet the baby. Baby was very good. And since then, the husband has joined the group. Now, in the past, it's been more concert-like, which is fine. I mean, that's kind of what you go for. But this time it was more like a worship service. And it was just very intimate. It was just a very good, time spent there this time. Not that I don't mind the concerts, but I do like the worship a little bit better because you're a little bit more able to express yourself and sing along with the folks, that kind of thing. So that was last night's event. But I kind of look forward to those kind of things. Awana is starting up again. Not this week, but next week we have a meeting to get started, which is probably a good idea. The fellow that when he had started this, there was no real clear definition of how things were going to be done and, what the role of each person is supposed to be, that kind of thing. And then the second year came along and things were going along. We had some issues and I had made some comments about, well, it would help if we had real clear instructions on exactly how this goes, which, this guy was going by memory as when he was a kid, being a part of Awana. But, so we sat down and, I've talked a couple of times about those kind of things. And so this time there is going to be a meeting to kind of give people orientation to what their role is, that kind of stuff. He had made a comment last year that if you are a floater, it's not your job to listen to scripture to the kids and help them memorize their scripture. That's the table leader's role. And I had made a comment. I said, well, the first year I was paired with someone, and I will be honest with you, half the table were kindergartners. The other half were first graders who were already reading. When you have a table full of kindergartners, none of them can read in this group. It takes both people at the table to help these kiddos learn to read and learn to memorize their verses and what they mean. I said, so that's something that I don't know that Awana really, when they started out, took that into consideration for some of these groups, and I don't think he realized that. And part of that is because he does a campus ministry with New Life. And so he's used to college students who can read, who are more studious in their study, So he got a little bit of an earful when we were discussing some of those things and some of the ways around it. And I said, I don't mind being just a floater, because a floater's main job is to help with the kids that have to go back and forth to the bathroom, or they need to go over to the person that they need to recite their verses to take them there so they're not alone. Those kind of things. That's what a floater's job is. It's not to help them learn their verses. It's not to listen to them recite their verses. But that's what it has been the past 2 years. And I said, I'm the type of person, I'll go with the flow and just, follow through, that kind of thing. Help out where I can. I said, but clear definition of the rules is a whole lot more helpful for everyone that's coming into this program, especially for the adults that are volunteering. So that's a positive that's going on with that. Some of the changes and him realizing that it's just not real clear definition of what the roles are, that kind of thing. And when you go to the Awana website, it doesn't provide a lot more information there, really, to be honest. And I'm pretty sure that's because they want each club to define what works for themselves. That it's not so structured that it doesn't become structured. Become unwielding in the way that they do things. Now, last year we had introduced a thing where we had talked about some of the characters of the kids that we were seeing and giving them praise for those positive attributes that we were seeing in the kids. And I don't remember if I told you about it, but when we were going down the line of each of our kids, we called out their name and we had made these little pieces of paper for them to take home. They weren't certificates, but they were little pieces of paper that had the affirmation on it, that kind of thing for them. But when we had started with the one, they were like, oh, okay, this is kind of surprising. Then we came back with the second person. And then the kids were looking down the line for the next child's name, cheering that person on. So it was, a pretty positive thing. So we talked about that and how we thought that that would be a good thing to continue for some of these kiddos. Because some of these kiddos really are marginalized in the school system. They, because of their family background, let's say many of them are extremely poor. This is a free program for the kids to come in and have some socialization, that kind of thing. And the church's philosophy is they were hoping that many of these parents would drop their kids off, then come in. There's a prayer service, used to be weekly, now it's bi-weekly, that they would come in for that. But the other option was that they had time for themselves to go on a little mini date, go grocery shopping, or just have some alone time, away from the kiddos. And but at the same time, we would be able to help uplift these children and keep them from going the wrong way in life. Let's just put it that way. When you get into school systems, teachers, whether they realize it or not, they kind of start to stigmatize children. And I don't think the younger teachers do this so much as those who have been in the system for so long and they've become used to it, so they see the same things over and over every year. So hopefully, in a way that this program can help, as well as the good news programs for after school, can help break those kind of cycles, not only for the kids and their parents, but for the teachers who are experiencing it and seeing it. So hopefully it will change some of the children's behavior in school as well. And some of it has, because we do have quite a few teachers that teach in the school system here that are also a part of this group. So they can kind of remind them gently off to the side about the correct way to behave in school, that kind of thing. So anyway, it's just been very interesting to see the program grow and to see the people that are in the program. And a couple of us have talked, are you doing it again this year? I'm like, yeah. I said, I thought about not doing it, but it's kind of you get a blessing from it, from being around the children and just seeing their lives change. Those kind of things through this program. So that's a positive. And also getting to see some of those kids who are in troubled lives, how it changes their perspective when they have somebody they can trust come in and talk to about their problems. And you can help give them suggestions, to change their attitudes and their behaviors and how they deal with it and deal with the stresses of some of the family life that they are living. So, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. The only thing I don't enjoy is at the very end. They had started this thing where they give them out a piece of candy, and it's a total melee. If you know what it's like getting a child to pick one toy out of 20, same thing with candy. And these are bite-sized mini candies. It's not, a big candy bar or anything like that. So it's kind of funny trying to see them and how crazy it gets at times. It's like, just pick one. Shouldn't be that hard. Pick your favorite or pick one you'd like to try. It's only a bite. But it's a serious thing for some of these kids. Oh, it gets quite funny. Then every once in a while you get little ones that say, well, I'd like to take one for my dad. Well, I'll let Dad come in and get his. That has been our solution. Because a lot of other kids, it's not fair, they got two. Kids, they'll call you out on all kinds of things, won't they? But yeah, it's been fun. But it has been something that I've enjoyed. Like I said, you get a lot of blessings out of it, and I've always enjoyed being around kids. For the most part. The screaming and the squealing I can do without. But luckily we haven't had a lot of screamers and squealers, so. And just every once in a while you have to put your mom voice on, and be a little rough with them. And I say rough, I have to give them the loud, stern voice. Get off the table. Those kind of things. All right, guys, I think I've yammered on enough. I will talk with you again later. Everybody have a great evening, afternoon, and try to stay positive. Don't let a lot of these things that are going on today get you down. There's always tomorrow. There's always something that might just turn it around quickly. All right, see you again soon. Bye.